Good morning. We're going to talk about 8 tips for acoustic guitar if you're, let's say, more of a rock style guitar player. So let's go through these pretty quickly. This would be for somebody who's perhaps, let's say, a little more advanced um, or want to get to that level. Okay, here we go. First is expressive timing. Expressive timing is where you drop the note or where you drop the chord. And essentially there's timing that might be metronomic or timing to exactly to a metronome. That would be good to learn earlier on, let's say, so you can play in time, but then to put the metronome down and then basically play in time. However, you're imparting your own expression to it. So there's something called laying back on the beat, where you might drop, let's say, a note or a drum hit, but we're talking about guitar. You might drop the note, let's say, a fraction of a second late or later than you expect, or for that matter, you could play a little bit ahead of the beat. But where you drop that note is really important. Same is true as where you drop the chord or where you drop the power chord. So, this would be a little bit more for a newer player, but also applies to people who've been playing for a while. Sometimes if you're just trying to be good at playing chords mainly, and also being able to change chords and change chords quickly, is to essentially put down your pick and forget your strumming hand, for most people your right hand, and with your left hand while you're, let's say, watching television or watching videos, or if you're just going to chill out and watch television for a while, put the guitar in your lap and just keep changing from a G to a D to an A to a C sharp minor to whatever chords you like, and try just moving those chords around kind of quickly and precisely while you're watching television, or let's say you're watching a movie for 2 or 3 hours. It doesn't make that much noise just to move the chords around if you're not strumming. So great way to get better at playing guitar while you're doing something else. So, and even helps that you're watching your television set and not looking at the fretboard where you're changing these chords. So 3, different colors all over the neck. What I mean by that is that you can play obviously the standard G chord, but then there's the power or the bar G chord at the 3rd fret. There are probably 100 different ways to play a G chord. My point is to work around the neck and look for different chord shapes that impart sort of a different coloring or a different sound. To change it up, you may find that you like, let's say, a chord like in Glenn Campbell's Wichita Lineman. Glenn Campbell later apparently played the song many different ways, but at some point starts the song off. That first chord is, I believe, somewhere up the neck, maybe 5th, 7th fret, don't really recall. And let's go to number 4, volume dynamic. So if you're playing the guitar for a singer, or if you are a singer-songwriter yourself, often when the singer is singing, the guitar player should be playing at, I'd say, even as low as 10% of the volume that the singer is singing at. The guitar should be quite a bit lower, especially in an acoustic performance. I remember watching Jewel do exactly this live. She played at the 930 Club without her band back in the early 2000s. And this works really, really, really well. What doesn't work is to have the guitar volume be at, let's say, at a 10, and then the vocals be at about a 7. That really does not work. Now, I'm sure there's certain styles that works for, but generally speaking, in an acoustic guitar and singing setup, you want the acoustic volume to be at about a volume, honestly, at about a volume 2 or 3, and for the singing volume to be somewhere around a 7 or an 8. You don't obviously don't want to be over singing. Okay, so let's say number 6. Stay on the chord that you're playing until the last possible second. Hold that chord until at the last possible moment, at which point you need to switch it. Often people are switching chords prematurely, and it adds an interesting effect, or a hook, if you will, to hold that chord to the last possible moment. Number, let's see, 7. Strum parts of chords, don't strum the entire chord. Can't overemphasize this enough. Strum parts of chords, not the entire chord. So there is what I would call, let's say, to use an analogy, there's the windshield wiper in your car. If you're strumming the guitar like your windshield wiper is going back and forth, and it's with no expressiveness whatsoever, the song's going to sound very dull. So again, strum parts of chords. Watch the really good players. Again, the national guitar players. You'll hear me emphasize this many times. Not local guitar players. Watch the national guitar players who know how to do this when they're doing it live. So again, play strum parts of chords. And lastly, number 8, incorporate short bass runs into your songs. I often bring up Man on the Moon as an example, but by REM, and so there's a good one. So Man on the Moon has kind of a short bass line. You can basically play along with the chords. The short bass line should appear and then disappear. Another song would be Tequila Sunrise by the Eagles, and there are numerous examples of what I'm talking about. So with that, hey, have a great day. And any questions, as always, email me at radioreception@gmail.com.